Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 18. It's going to be an absolutely insane week on DraftKings, as it typically is in week 17, but this year it's week 18, so it's kind of a different animal. Plenty of games in the lobby, lots of money to be won in both cash games and tournaments. We're going to build a tournament lineup for NFL DFS in week 18 on this video. I'm going to take a quarterback. I'm going to stack them with two players, double stack the quarterback. We're going to bring it back with somebody on the opposing team. And we're going to build in a secondary stack as well for a little bit of extra correlation, because being right about two things is a lot easier than trying to be right about 6 different things. Trying to hit a 2-team parlay is a lot easier than trying to hit a 6-team parlay. And that's how I choose to build my tournament lineups, because that gives us the largest edge on lineup building correlation versus the field. And we've had a pretty good year using that strategy as well. We've always correlated our lineups. I'm just doing it across more of my lineups, especially in the Millionaire Maker, larger field stuff. If you're playing small field, if you're playing like 100-man tournament, yes, you want to correlate, but you want to correlate. You don't need to like shoot for all or nothing. You're going to build more of a cash game build with more correlation built in there and trying to get different in 1 or 2 spots. Building to win a mass multi-entry field is different, and using extra correlation to get unique combinations and differentiated lineups from the field is the easiest path to go, and then sprinkle in a couple of plays that have a really good point per dollar as well. So without any further ado, let's take a look. You know who the cover boy is, but we're going to break down the whole slate. Let's go.
He's a legend.
It's week 18, but we still have a Smiz Gang Listener League this week. 3,250 entrants, $10 to play, 5 max, absolutely no rake. 100% of the money that comes in entry fees is going to get paid out by DraftKings. Best tournament that you can play. Go to smizzle.tv/league. I do all the work to change the redirect for you. We have to fill this. I don't know if we're going to run them in the playoffs. This could be the last one that we have of the year. We're going to find out, but if we fill it, it's more likely that we might have one for the first couple of rounds of the playoffs. So definitely jump in there. Smizzle.tv/league will take you there every single week that we ever have a listener league, including next season. The link will still be smizzle.tv/league. So bookmark it and take yourself to the league. Starting at quarterback, it's a low scoring week, right? It's not a week where we have a lot of high totals. We are going to have some bit of uncertainty because some teams don't have a ton to play for. So there's going to be changes throughout the week, and I think that the totals are reflecting that. There are a bunch of teams in the playoffs that are playing for seeding, aka home field advantage, both in the first or the second round. The Green Bay Packers have sewn everything up. We'll see what they do with Aaron Rodgers this week and the rest of their starters as well. So wait and see mode for them. We'll get a little bit more clarity as the week goes on and the days go on. But right now, you have a lot of other teams that are in the playoffs but not locked into a spot, and it's so highly advantageous to get home field advantage for the first round and lock up home field advantage for that second round before having to go on the road for the championship game to the 1 seed, that I think more teams are going to really be going for it than in a typical final week of the season. So plenty of players that we can go after. The Rams being one of those teams squaring off against San Francisco. Going to be an interesting game to say the least. We have to wait and see what the situation is on the other side. I'm of the hope that, when it comes to the quarterback, that Jimmy G does not play. We'll see if that thumb is healthy again. If it's not healthy, we have Trey Lance at 5,500, who looks like another fantastic value. Typically, I double stack with a quarterback. I don't see Trey Lance throwing it more than 25 times in any game unless they get down like 20 points, where he might throw it 35 to 40 times. But they're going to focus on running the football, and if he throws, it's going to be short, under 10-yard passes, mostly under 5-yard passes, but they have a great set of wide receivers. So I'll break the double stack rule for somebody like Trey Lance to allow for a skinny stack, but I'm probably going to correlate with 2 players on the other side, because if Trey Lance has that really big game, it's either because they're chasing or because the other team got up a lot. So using somebody like Cooper Kupp and another one of their wide receivers makes sense, or Sony Michel, who is also a value this week, makes sense. That would be the route that I was going to go with him, which is different from basically every other quarterback, where I'm going to double stack pretty much everybody else on this slate that I'm going to play. And I don't play every quarterback, but when I go after him, that's how I do tend to build. Baker Mayfield doesn't look like he's going to play. Like there's a lot of ugliness. We don't know what's going to happen with Cincinnati and whether they're going to start their starters or not, with Joe Burrow sustaining that kind of injury at the end of the game last week when they had 15 plays within the last minute, and they kept slamming Joe Burrow into the line on QB sneaks, and he injured his knee at the end of the game. Monitor his situation as the week goes on. But the easiest way to kind of go with this, at least for me, is one of the higher total games. A lot of low total games on this slate. Most of them fitting between 40 and 45. The Lions Packers is 47. Jags Colts 44. Giants has a 38.5. Probably not going to be playing much from that game at all. Bears Vikings 44. Texans Titans 43. 49ers Rams 44.5. Buccaneers 42.5. Seahawks Cardinals 48. And that's where I'm going to go for this stack. Kyler Murray, we know the upside and the floor that he brings you with his legs when he is running the way that he has since like here. He spent the middle of the season not doing anything with his legs. And then after he returned from injury, 4 of the last 5 games, 44 or more rushing yards with 2 touchdowns, both of them coming against Chicago in that game. Big time upside with his arms, even though he has lost Nuke Hopkins. They have found other players to utilize in terms of volume, and because of that volume and it being condensed more now with the absence of Rondale Moore the last couple of weeks and with the absence of Nuke Hopkins, now we have a quicker and easier path to know where the ball is going to go. So one place the ball has gone has been to Zach Ertz, who has soaked up a ton of targets, 33 targets over the last 3 games in the absence of Hopkins, has not scored a touchdown, has scored like a fine amount of fantasy points, but like it seems like there could theoretically be an explosion coming because tight end touchdown scoring is very much tied to targets, catches, and yards. And Zach Ertz's targets and catches and yards the last 3 weeks do predict that he is on the wrong side of variance in the touchdown column, which means that some should be coming, which might, it's an easy stack. And if we're going to pay up at quarterback for 7,400, I have to find upside at volume and value at other positions. So Zach Ertz at a differentiator position like tight end allows me a player with a 20+ point ceiling at a position where most of the plays are going to come in under 10 fantasy points. So if you hit on Zach Ertz this week, and if Zach Ertz hits, that means that Kyler Murray also hit. That puts us in a great spot to move. Christian Kirk has also seen a lot of targets, 9, 9, and 12, but I think he's going to be heavily trafficked at 6K this week because of the high total and the amount of targets here. But my sweet Wesley, Antoine Wesley, has made some eye-popping plays and sits at 4,100, which allows us to do other things. Coming off of a 2-touchdown game against Dallas, scored 1 against Indy, and had another one against Indy where he made a ridiculous high-point catch at the back of the end zone, but did not come down in bounds. Wesley has kind of become, the last 3 weeks with 17 targets the last 3 games, a very viable volume play at the value that he's at, with massive touchdown upside with the amount of end zone targets that he's received over that time. Now we have to bring it back with one player on the other team. Now, if you wanted to go Wesley, Kirk, and then play Gerald Everett in this stack to try and get a little bit of value to pay for something else, fine. I totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to play DK Metcalf, who sort of woke up finally and had that massive 3-touchdown game that we've all been waiting for like, I don't know, since week 8 when he scored 2 against Jacksonville. He's priced at 6,900, which is appropriate based on what we found out about his personal life antics, earlier this season. But Tyler Lockett now sits at 6,400. And the way that things have gone from daily fantasy, this is complete narrative. It's not based on anything else. But when you have 2 massive players, 2 players with massive touchdown potential based on game environment, based on their quarterback, and based on team totals and everything else, now you get a situation where if everybody is going to go to the higher played player, we've done this with the Buccaneers too. If everybody's on Godwin, you should be on Evans. If everybody's on Evans, you should flock to Godwin. And the same thing should be said for GPPs about Lockett and Metcalf. If everybody's going to run to DK Metcalf and like 20 to 30% of the field's going to be on one, but 5 to 12% of the field's going to be on the other, I don't see why we're not playing Tyler Lockett at a little bit of a price knockoff, right? We're getting a little bit of value, a little bit of discount on the price versus his compatriot DK Metcalf. And then we're also going to get probably a massive discount on the percentage in tournament. So it allows us to be contrarian within our double stack. Okay, hold on just a second. Give me 30 seconds in here to tell you about the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel that I have just started on YouTube. All of my off-season footage, all of my season-long best ball drafts, top 10 wide receivers, first round mocks, way too early first looks for 2022 drafts are going to live on the Fantasy Football channel. So go to smizzle.tv/ff, drop a subscribe on that. First video coming this week with my 2021 recap video for best ball, how we did with content, how I did with my drafts, and how things panned out. So thank you guys. If you like the DFS content on the main channel, go drop over to smizzle.tv/ff and hit me with a subscribe so we can kick this channel off right. Let's get back to the first look. Looking at running backs this week, and there's a bunch of them, right? If you the running back video is going to come out on Wednesday morning, and there's a lot. A quick overview: Jonathan Taylor's really good, and the Colts are favored by 1 million against Jacksonville this week. And the last time they squared off against Jacksonville, he put up 27.6 DraftKings points, getting massive volume, leading the league in rushing by like 400 yards over the next, or 500 yards over the next closest person. Don't fact check me, but like 20 touchdowns seems really good, and 1,700 plus yards seems really good. And he may not have to contribute in the passing game with his inside the 5 usage. The fact that this game does script to for them to score a few touchdowns, which bodes well for his touchdown upside. Jacksonville has been an absolute tire fire defensively, which bodes well for his 100-yard bonus possibilities in this spot. But they are playing on the road, so he will not be a $5 running back. But does it matter when you're favored by 15.5 and have a team total that is basically 30 real life points, expecting 4 touchdowns from this team, and they have the league leader when it comes to doing that, scoring those inside the 5 touches, 9,300 for him. Not going to fit him in this lineup. I think that Dalvin Cook is fine as well. Aaron Jones, we have to wait and see what they're doing with their players. Joe Mixon is going to pop against Cleveland. David Montgomery going to be a value again at 6,800 going up against Minnesota. The massive amount of volume that he's been getting. Rashad Penny is one of your best per play runners, especially the last 3-4 weeks. And though Arizona is really tough, and we're not going to play him in this stack, but Arizona's been really tough at running back scoring because they've limited touchdowns to opposing running backs. They've been a very much a bend but don't break defense against running backs, giving up a lot of yards before the carry, before first touch, a lot of yards after first contact, and a lot of yards per carry. So they've given it up to opposing running backs, just not letting them get in the end zone, which is affecting their look on DVP. But Devin Singletary has basically played 90% plus of the snaps and got 90% plus of the running back touches for the Buffalo Bills. They are squaring off against the Jets. If we've learned anything this year, it's that just play running backs against the Jets, because if they don't get hurt, they're probably going to pay off. And then we've also learned something else, that if they don't get hurt, the running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is probably going to be a really good play with how good that offense is. And they have one of the higher team totals on the slate as well this week, sitting above 25 once again. Ronald Jones is hurt. Monitor the situation. If I'm the Buccaneers, I would assume that he's not going to play this week because they've got Leonard Fournette on IR. They have a distinct backup in Ronald Jones that they kind of trust, at least as a backup, they trust him. And Keyshawn Vaughn also banged up. Le'Veon Bell does look like somebody who's going to be in play this week at the very least, at least from where we sit here on Tuesday morning when I'm recording this. And here's the thing: if Ronald Jones is active and playing and expected to play a full complement of snaps, don't play Le'Veon Bell in your lineups. I'm sure that another value running back will pop up. From where I'm sitting right now, he looks like potentially one of the best running back values on the slate, assuming that Ronald Jones sits, Leonard Fournette's still on IR, and Keyshawn Vaughn is somebody that I don't think that they want to give 15 plus touches to. So burning Le'Veon Bell this week, if you're the Buccaneers, we know how about his prowess in the passing game, and we know how much Tom Brady has checked down to his running back this year, making Leonard Fournette the highest running back in terms of leading the league in terms of running back reception. So there's two running backs for us that have both touchdown upside, playing at home and favored. Check every potential box, especially with Le'Veon Bell if he is the lead back this week. We're going to have to plug in a defense. Let's just slam in like a cheap defense in here somewhere. The Lions, all right, let's get them out there and bite kneecaps, hopefully against a backup quarterback this week. We'll deal with defense later in the week as we know more closer to kickoff. So now I want a secondary stack. There's a few ways that we can go. We have a lot of money, 6,700. You can go expensive and look for value if you want. You can come up here and get Chase and then bring it back with somebody on Cleveland if you wanted to go that route. If you wanted to go with the Rams game, you can go with Debo. You can go with Cup and bring it back with somebody of value on the other side. Steph Diggs, probably not going to go there for this lineup. Johnson, and maybe come back with Bateman on the other side, who's been very good so far the last few weeks. But like, AJ Brown is at least back. 16 targets against San Francisco, 5 against Miami. The Miami situation was a hot mess. They got up an absolute ton, and they didn't have to throw the ball anymore. So he got kind of game scripted out of here. Houston has shown the ability to at least put points on the board recently, which means that the Titans theoretically are going to have to score and pass the ball to move it. So AJ Brown, the grown-ass man, if you will, does have 100-yard upside here, always has multiple touchdown upside, and I kind of think might be a little bit overlooked this week, leaving me the need to bring him back and leaving me 6,400 on the table. And that kind of lines up with Brandon Cooks at 6,300. Double-digit targets each of the last 3 games. We've gotten in the end zone 3 times in the last 3 games. The Cooks AJ Brown stack is where I'm going to go for my secondary. So the Kyler Murray double with Zach Ertz and my sweet Wesley. And then bringing it back with Tyler Lockett, hoping for a little bit less percentages on him versus DK Metcalf coming off a big game. Singletary and Bell, secondary stack of AJ Brown and Cooks. And we ride. Thank you guys for watching. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.